Hey,
Wow,
hey, hey.
that was great.
Oh, stop playing, Barrett.
He just can't,
Good.
it's such a
Can't.
catchy song. It's hard to stop.
It is hard to stop. Well, this is the live stream Heresy before after hours or after hours, or the Heretic Happy Hour live stream, the Sunday church show, the not
Yes,
church. We're
yes.
live streaming in the Heresy After Hours Facebook group.
Oh, hey, I just
On
noticed the shirt that you're wearing.
yeah.
Yeah, it
What?
says,
Oh, you have this. Mine
I have the
says
same
yo.
one.
What the? Oh, that's really funny. We did not plan that. My Jesus is Northern European,
Yes, I don't
as
know
you
what
could
mine
see.
is.
Um, yeah, I know it's a stupid shirt, but it's funny.
No,
Yeah.
it's hilarious. I love it. Hi, Harrison.
Judy, hey, hello everyone. Hi, Judy. Nice to see you this morning. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
howdy.
like I said, we're in the YouTube land, we're on the Facebook land, and
The
Judy
Instagrams.
H's.
We're on the
Yes,
Instagrams.
the grand.
We're on the YouTubes. We're on the
Yeah,
Facebooks. We're on the social things,
and
and
we
where
don't
all the
really have
kids are hanging out.
we don't really have a plan today. We're just winging it, so we're hoping that people have some questions, some comments.
Please,
Good news, if you've been listening to the bonus show, we do have voicemails for next Friday's bonus show. So
thank
as of
you.
yet, the hotline is salvaged so
Thank
far.
you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah,
It means a lot.
it means everything.
It does. It's important. And this is our very first show of 2025. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Fireworks.
We limped out of 2024 into 2025, and it's been pure chaos ever since.
Okay.
Judy says, I have something that I'm not sure what to do with. Well, good.
Send it to me.
Let's hear it, Judy.
What is it?
Tim, 34 felonies and no jail.
Look,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
like 30 what the fucks ago. Like, come on. We want to
yeah,
put them all
I think that's what's going to happen. That's going to be the handing down of the sentencing. The sentencing of Donald Trump will
the day
confirm
before.
that he is a convicted felony.
Right. The
Or
day
felon.
before the inauguration, he gets to go to court, right?
Does he? I don't
Yeah.
know.
The day
It's
before the
coming up.
inauguration, he will be in court for sentencing.
I thought the sentencing was on the 10th.
That's what I just heard.
Well, maybe it's pushed back a few days. I don't know. Maybe when is the inauguration? I thought it was the 20th.
Dude, you're asking the wrong guy.
Oh, I should be asking the God Squad.
Those guys are on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that a convicted felon will get no time, no probation, no nothing. Like,
Yeah.
it's so funny how people will say, oh, there's a two-tier justice system. And then it's like, yeah, no shit. You're getting so close. You're so close. There is a two-tier justice system. But it's a class system.
Let's see. I just looked it up. I'm looking it up now.
Judy says certification is tomorrow, inauguration is the 20th. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it says the judge presiding over the hush money trial against Trump denied his bid to dismiss the case and said he'll sentence him on January the 10th, 10 days before his inauguration. So I was wrong, not the day before, but 10 days before.
10 days before, and 4 days after the certifying of the.
Yes.
That's tomorrow, Jan 6.
That's awesome.
Great. Awesome.
We already know he will not do jail time because they're not going to. Of
course not.
They're not going to put him in jail, even though he deserves to go to jail. See, it's not because he's innocent. But the thing is, he will twist it to say, see, I was innocent. But they'll probably just make him pay a bunch of money.
They probably won't do anything. I mean, he's not going to be on probation.
Well, yeah, exactly. What, give him like an ankle bracelet in the White House?
That'd be funny. Oh, God. You can only laugh or you're going to cry. Let's see.
Judy says she has something she didn't know what to do with. So
yeah, so we got it. Here we go. Go ahead and read it.
Okay. A woman marries a man when she's young, eventually divorces, comes out as lesbian, later becomes saved, and then the Lord fixed me, and I'm attracted to men again. Okay. All right. Well, this one I understand. Did you assume this is something you just saw? Probably one of those testimonial videos. Evangelical Christians love to share these interview. These are the only kind of like gay or trans people that they, like Alyssa Childers or Sean McDowell, will ever interview. Are people that are, now you've realized you were wrong and now you're back on the right team. And I don't even doubt those people having like, hey, this was my experience. Sure, that's great if that was your experience. Please understand your experience is not everyone's experience.
Mm-hmm.
This is the problem that we have is that you pull these people out, you interview them, they tell their story. God saved me and I'm not gay anymore. Okay, maybe, maybe not, but that's your experience. That was your story. You cannot assume now that this is everyone's story, right?
And that's one way of interpreting your experiences, right? So
Sure.
our experiences are different than our interpretation of our experiences.
Thank you.
So I think if they had the working knowledge that gender is fluid or can be fluid, sexuality is fluid or can be fluid for people.
Yes.
And so you will, if you're, see, we assume this is based on heteronormativity, as heterosexual is normal and right, and everything else is abnormal and like a derivative or a derivation of what's right.
Yeah.
And so you think you're going from gay to straight based on like how you currently feel in the moment, but
That's right.
sexuality is not like that.
Right.
It can be fluid, it can ebb and flow, it can it's on a spectrum, and when we're on that spectrum, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean we're fixed points on it.
Thank you. Yeah.
So people need
People
to
change, they
recognize
grow,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
people go, everyone is in process, right? This is the thing we got to keep in mind. We're all in process. We're all at different points in the curve, and we cannot compare what you're going. You can't compare what you're going through to what somebody else is experiencing, and vice versa. Like I have an example. Judy says, by the way, this is someone she knows and respects, not someone she saw in a video. Okay, so that's good. But I know someone too. Okay, I have one of my dearest friends. Um, when we were in, let's see, I guess it was after we graduated college. His sister had been married to a guy, but he was very abusive. They divorced, and then she ended up living with a woman who was gay, and they were in a lesbian gay marriage, not marriage, but relationship. This is like, I think in the 90s, something like that, for several years. And then all of a sudden, she left that person and then married a man and, has a kid with them. And so what's that, right? That's her experience.
Mhm.
You could say, okay, over here she was straight, then she was gay, then she was straight again, or she was bi all along, or whatever,
Or
right?
it ebbs and flows. It's very rudimentary to say I went from straight to gay, like you turned it off like a light
Yeah,
switch
see,
and then turned it back, like
yeah. And this
whatever.
this is the
Yeah.
thing I see a lot of evangelical Christians. And again, so let's say your friend Judy, we have to understand how, like something that Matt just said, right? The difference between your experience and your interpretation of your experience. Okay.
Mm.
For example, like I think we talked about this last time. I had demonic dreams and experiences when I was an evangelical Christian. I interpreted those experiences as demonic. Now that I no longer believe in demons and Satan and all that stuff, I now have to reinterpret those experiences. I had the experience, but my interpretation of the experience was wrong. I've had many. So another example, I had Wendy and I, again, back when we were evangelical Christians and we believed in tithing, we had like sort of tithing testimonies, right? That we promised God we were going to give 20% and God blessed us and blah, blah, blah. And one time we were so poor, we were debating and praying, should we put this tithe check in? But if we do, it means we can't pay our electric bill, but we'll do it anyway. And we did it. And then like 20 minutes later, the associate pastor's wife came to us and gave us a check from the church, the exact amount we had just written, and just said, God told us to bless you or something, like out of the blue. And so we interpreted that as, oh, wow, see, God was so faithful to us because God cares so much about the tithe. And because we showed God our faithfulness in the tithe, God gave us the money back because he knew we needed it. So that's how we used to interpret it. Now I
Mhm.
interpret it as most likely the associate pastor's wife knew that we were poor, saw our check after they were, adding up all the stuff and said, "What are these guys doing? These knuckleheads are stupid. Give them back their money." And that pretty much is what they did.
Mhm.
Um, and so if anything, it was the universe telling Wendy and I, stop doing this. This is a bad idea. Well, we didn't
Yeah.
interpret it that way at the time, but I would interpret it that way now. And so your religious experience, right? People if you're raised in a very deep evangelical shame-based, most of us were shame-based worm theology, as I call it. But all along you're gay, right? You have a lot of self-hatred. Then you decide, you know what, I have to be myself. You step out, you say, hey, everybody, I'm gay or I'm bi or whatever. You begin living true to your nature, true to yourself. What are your Christian family members and church members saying about you? You're evil, you're sinning, you're blah blah blah. That guilt and shame still has an effect on you. So then you quote unquote repent when maybe that relationship doesn't work out or something. That was God's judgment. And I'm saying, like, you interpret all these things as, oh, see, this is God's judgment, this is God's anger, this is God's wrath. I need to, I want to be loved and accepted by my family, so I'm going to repent and go back to being straight again. But you're acting that way. You're telling yourself these stories, but it's the story you're telling yourself based on the manipulation of guilt and shame coming from your evangelical background. That's how I interpret that shit.
We're always telling ourselves stories. Everything's a narrative.
Yes.
And the narrative is informed by your own experiences, but the narrative is also informed by your culture, your subculture, a lot of other people. And that's what mimetic theory gets to the heart of that. Like, we are imitative beings, we are imitative creatures, and we are going to imitate the people we look up to. And so when we have these narratives that are spun our direction, these mythologies,
yes,
we can't even look back on when I heard that story. I don't know when the first time I was told being gay or bi or whatever was bad. I don't know when that was. It just was.
Yep. And message.
So that's been the messaging before I can even think back to memories, like solid concrete memories. It was always told that way.
Yeah.
And so that's important to remember. Doa Deer has a question. Is that what you call gender fluid? I mean, it's the same idea, but it's more, that would be more related to someone's gender expression rather than someone's sexual attraction or romantic attraction. Because even that's different. Like when you talk about bi people, some people are bi, but they're sexually attracted to men, but they're romantically only attracted to women, or a spectrum of those two things. So it's, the point being is our gender expression and our sexual identity is a lot more complex than the rudimentary narrative we've been told, like gay bad, straight good.
Yep.
Cis only, no trans, no non-binary. It's just two genders. Like that is so that's basic thinking that we, like, the people who are like there's only two genders. That's literally like the first thing you learn when you're a toddler. Touch stove hot.
Yes.
Don't touch stove good.
Right.
It's very yes or no, black and white. And that is so spiritually and psychologically and socially so underdeveloped, either by choice or by ignorance or whatever, that I don't know how people don't see that. Like, when you become more, I think, in tune with reality, you're like, okay, well, fluidity and a spectrum does include the binary, because to exclude the binary is itself dualistic, but it includes everything in between. And it's really unfortunate that a lot of people they don't even try to understand that, especially if you're dogmatic about this stuff.
Absolutely. I wrote a series of blog posts. It was actually came right after I did that debate with James White, because it's something I brought up in the debate with James White, because he wants to argue, and most conservative evangelical Christians want to argue, that the Bible says, we go to Genesis, right? And it's God made them male and female. There you go. That's a binary. It's either male or female. There's no in between. And I pointed out that, well, it also says in the same chapter that he's made day and night. Mm-hmm. We also understand that there's a spectrum and a range of day and night, right? 6 a.m. is not the same as 2 p.m. They're all the day, but they're not the same, right? There's different shades of light, different, intensities. And so in the same way that, yes, it says he made day and night, built into that, if you just think about it for 10 seconds, you realize there's a spectrum of range of light between day and night.
And again, like the toddler says it's day or it's nighttime. I'm awake during the daytime. I'm asleep during the nighttime.
Yeah.
but we're not supposed to be toddlers. So like, and that's not to say if you're like, I still wrestle through things and get things wrong all the time. I'm
Sure.
not saying you're a toddler if you don't understand all of it. I don't understand all of it,
Yeah.
and I'm never going to claim to. It's the people who are rigid against it, like they're fighting against it as if they have some sort of like personal stake in the game.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is just internalized homophobia and questions about
Yeah.
yourself and your own insecurities. There's no way people should rage against an entire community like this. It makes no sense. Um,
Right.
like drag
Especially
queens
when, yeah,
aren't shooting up schools, and
no,
trans people aren't doing the things that they're saying they're doing in bathrooms. But you know who are
pastors and youth pastors and
pastors
yeah.
and men
Yeah.
all over the place, an epidemic, a pandemic
Yeah.
of abuse in church and outside of church. And we want to focus on the trans people around the world that
Yeah.
I don't ever hear of any, like,
Yeah.
hardly any violence from them, hardly
No,
any, like, and they
no,
don't have
yeah,
power.
I shared a meme this week. I didn't, of course, I didn't create it. I just shared it. But it said 0 drag queens have been arrested in Tennessee this year for raping or sexually abusing children, but over 30 faith leaders have. And I just thought that was so awesome just to like point this out because here's the irony, right? I know we all get it, but I just have to say it out loud. The group of people warning you to be afraid of and to, we got to protect the children from the drag queens and the trans people and all that stuff. Um, like Matt said, I don't see a whole lot of news stories of drag queens and trans people sexually abusing people, but what I do see is the group of people warning me against trans people and drag queens are the group with documented. They've
Yes.
arrested all like 30
With
people.
whole ass documentaries all over the
Yes,
internet. On every streaming platform, there's
nonstop
documentaries
and
about
endless.
this shit.
Yes, yes,
Endless, like,
exactly.
and, Kristen Dumais is one of the recent ones.
Yes, yeah, that was a great documentary.
Great
Yeah,
documentary on YouTube, For Our Daughters. And
yeah,
we did an episode, so if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to For Our Daughters, on our wherever you listen to our podcast feed.
yeah.
Um, before we get any further, we got some great questions here. Keith, I know you wanted to mention something coming up.
Yes. Should I do that first?
Yeah, do that now.
Okay. Yeah. So before we jump into some more comments and continue in this very fascinating conversation, thank you all for that. I have something coming up, 2 things coming up this week, both on Wednesday that I want to just remind you of and emphasize. The first one is Wednesday morning. There is a free webinar. One of our choir authors, her name is Mary Terhune. She has a great book called Out of the Blue. She'll be doing a free webinar on homeopathic medicine and spiritual awakening and how they intersect, how they have in common. It's totally free. I'm going to invite you to go and register for that. If that sounds something that's interesting to you, she is a great on this topic. She's really great. Her book is great. Again, it's a free webinar. I think you get a lot out of it. So you would go to choiracademy.com and you register there for that free webinar Wednesday morning. And then Wednesday evening is the first session. We're doing 8 sessions of a course called Creatas. This is going to be every Wednesday night for an hour. It'll be a live Zoom call. We're doing it 6 p.m. Pacific time. This is Angie Von Slaughter and myself are co-leading this class together. And it's called calling it the Creative Sandbox. Creatas, the Creative Sandbox. And so what it's going to be is it's basically for people, I would say, like, if you're a creative person, even if you don't consider yourself an artist, you're a creative person and you either have too many ideas and you don't know which one to do first or what to do with them. You're kind of scattered. You need someone to help you, get organized with that. Or you're a creative person and you have no ideas. You're like struggling, right? You have writer's block or you just don't know what to do next. That's kind of what this course is all about. It's going to be very hands-on. Where every week we're going to basically have ideas, assignments, try this, do that. And then the next week, we're going to get back and do like a show and tell. And what do we do? What do we work on? It doesn't matter what you do. It could be painting, poetry. It could be, sculpting, dancing, songwriting. It doesn't matter. If you're a creative person, we want you to join us for this course. Starts Wednesday night. And for today only, because you're listening to this, if you go to choiracademy.com and register and you use the promo code CREATE, just the word CREATE, all caps, when you register, you'll get 30% off today only for that course. So this is your chance. Go and register, use the code, and then join us for a live Zoom conversation about creativity. I'm doing it because I need it. Like I've been trying to work on writing a science fiction novel and have all kinds of issues with that. And I thought, you know what? How cool would it be to just sit with other creative people, talk about our struggles, talk about our challenges, help inspire each other and encourage each other to be creative. So that's what we're going to be doing. There you go.
Very good. There you go. All right. Well, do that. And I got the promo code up there for folks. And hey, James, nice to see you here. Let's see who else we got. We had some good comments. Karen, day and night, good analogy. Yeah, I like that, Keith.
Yeah.
And Tim was saying, just like I'm right-handed, but I eat left-handed, fork in the right. Much more trivial, but it shows there's not even duality with handedness. Yeah, and I would say I was thinking of Harry Kane, one of my favorite football players of all time. He's right-footed. He's a right-footed striker, but if you watch him play, his left foot is not like some players are really one-footed. And when they use their other foot, even professionals, they say it's a bit of a swinger. Like you're just swinging you're swinging a boot at it. But Harry Kane you couldn't tell he was right-footed if you saw his like left-footed highlights. You're like, this guy is ambidextrous in some way, even though he's right-footed dominant. So again, like, yeah, it's trivial, but I think it's important to point out all these things in the universe that are this way, the trivial to the not so trivial. Just like we see spectrums of color, and the spectrums of color we see are nowhere near the spectrums of color.
Right.
Just
Exactly.
like
We're seeing a very small part of it.
We could say, can we hear or can we not hear? Well, we can all hear, but my hearing is diminished, especially in my right ear, from now until the end of my life.
Yeah. Mine is my left ear. How
that is on a spectrum. My friend Rick Machuga, Mike's dad, retired philosopher, he could barely hear anything, but he can still hear to some things. So, and some people are deaf. There's so many examples of this. So, let's go back to.
Got some more comments there?
There are some good comments. Jessica, let's see. Yes, and it's maddening. Yeah, this stuff is maddening. These same people will preach against LGBTQIA plus rights while allowing men with CSC charges to serve in their church.
Yes.
And blame the victims, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, not to be trivial, but Jessica just put LGBTQIA plus, and then conservatives who are like LBQ, they can't remember the 5 letters.
Elemental PQRS.
I always laugh at the fact that they think that's a burn, that you can't remember 5 letters in a row. That's more about you. Like, that's on you, folks.
Yes.
John, I think it starts with the church demonizing the idea of struggling and wrestling with ideas because they themselves don't want to share this space with people. That's true. I think they think of rights like a pie.
Yes, there's only so many pieces, and we can't give away too many.
And then power. Losing power looks like losing rights to the powerful.
Yes.
But Jesus came to redefine power and the whole gospel. So if you're a Christian, the whole gospel is supposed to be from below, not from above. Theology of the cross, not a theology of power and glory. I thought Jesus was supposed to change the game, and Christianity just goes right back to the game. Like, so then I've always asked Christians, how is your God set apart?
Right.
In what way? He's the biggest, baddest bully?
Pretty much.
Because to me, being set apart, having a theology from below truly would be set apart. And I think the enlightened amongst all the religions know that. Like, it's about service and gratitude and being humble and helping your fellow person, not about ruling in any sort of capacity.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. Let's see. So Judy is registered. She says excited for Create Us. That's good. Let's see. Oh, did you want to read the one from John, or did you already say that one?
I think I already read the one from John. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that one's up. Lisa says, So interesting. A parental figure in my life was extremely philosophical, so similar conversations in general, not gender or religious based. Yeah, I think everyone needs to know a philosopher.
Yeah.
That's
Philosophy
the
is
key.
good. Yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, that was my minor in college, and I'm really glad that I did that. And I only took it because it was the closest thing to religion. Like, there wasn't a religion minor. You know what I mean? I wasn't a Christian school. I went to University of Texas at El Paso.
Yeah.
So I was creative writing was my major because that's the only thing I wanted to do was write. But I felt like I needed more than that, so I did the minor on philosophy. I'm so glad I did because against even my intentions, I learned things, right? Because then I was forced to read like Hegel and Kant and Kierkegaard. Kierkegaard was amazing. It was like something like, oh, here's like a Christian philosopher who's taken seriously, and he was really, really had some great points, right? So yeah, that was really good. And this, you just learn about logic. You learn about how to think about things critically. You learn how to remain open to objections to your assumptions without getting offended. That was probably the most powerful thing I think about philosophy, because no matter what your sort of favorite philosopher was, you were, you're open to reading. Well, what does this other philosopher say? Quite often, that philosopher, their whole point is to prove another philosopher wrong, or point out flaws in that philosopher's ideas. And so, but again, you don't get offended by that. You're like, oh, I want to know if I'm wrong. I want to know if this isn't holding up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if someone can show you that, then you better listen. You better take it seriously.
Well, and that was the point of, like, think of a critical thinking 101 even.
Yeah.
You have to go into that course, and at some point, or a debate course, you have to argue for the side that you yourself do not hold.
That's right.
And
That's a
that
good
makes you
exercise.
a master debater.
Yeah.
And sorry,
Yes.
couldn't help myself.
What was it? Oh,
What?
a master.
We don't do that in the church though. Like we don't at least my experience was not like we're going to bring in a universalist to challenge our church on whether people go to hell forever or whether hell is
Yeah.
last eternal. Like we never had that. You were taught correct doctrine, but quote unquote, and then people would come in and just like kind of validate that. They would challenge you personally on the sin in your life,
Yes.
but there was never like a challenge to the theological assumptions we have. Those were not conversations we had. So,
Yeah. But a lot of times what I'll see is that, I mean, some churches do that. Some churches do host
some
debates, right?
churches do
And there's
that.
been some
Yeah,
great
of
debates. Like
course.
there's a really excellent debate. It's one of the best ones I've seen. Actually, it was Brian Zahn and what's that guy's name? It's a Jewish conservative scholar. But it was basically it's called the Monster God Debate. I can look it up. It's called the Monster God Debate, and it was excellent. And that was hosted at a church, right? The one that I did with James White was hosted at a church, and I was the sort of hostile. I was
You
in the
were.
hostile place,
You
right?
were
He was
very
on the.
hostile.
I was the visiting team. He was a. But you know what? They treated me mostly good. I mean, they flew me out. They put me in a hotel. They did not buy
Oh
my
yeah.
food, but they did everything else. So
Did you get a stipend?
they did pay me. No, it was pretty decent,
Okay.
actually. It was
Well,
pretty
that's good. I thought the debate itself, I mean, it wasn't evenly reffed.
right, because the moderator was the guy that, put the whole thing together, and he was very much on the side of
Even with the
Dr. White.
them not using the bio you sent them.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I sent him a bio, and he ended up using
Just some short
one
little thing
a little
like
short,
Keith
silly
Giles,
one
self-published author with a podcast.
with a podcast. Right. Yeah, yeah, and I had all these other things on there that he left out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That and he was,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, it's just that I promise you, he absolutely used the bio that
And I promise
Dr.
you
White
he
sent
would
me.
not have done that with Dr. White.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
he would
Oh, yeah,
never have
yeah,
done
yeah.
it. He
Not a
absolutely
chance.
used the
Not a
one that
chance.
yeah.
Yeah. There was a
And probably even
0%
sent it
chance.
to him to say, "Hey, is this okay?" first before he published it. But with
Probably.
me,
Oh, yeah.
eh,
Yeah.
just do it.
Just do it. This is just a guy with a podcast. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Doa Deer, where do you think deja vu type thoughts come from? For example, out of the blue, thinking a childhood friend was dying and finding out she just passed. Yeah, well, I
Is
don't
that
know if
deja vu though?
that's
That's not
different than deja vu. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's I think premonitions and things like
The
that. I don't
premonition.
know. I mean,
But
I
that has
think
happened to me. That's happened to me.
I'm sure that yeah, we have instinct like animals do. We don't.
Sure.
I don't know. There's always got to be room for for something like that. Of course, like I think there's too many anecdotes that people are like. But I will say though that for all the times you thought of them and didn't take note, nothing happened.
Yeah.
So there are
True.
those things where it's like, again, we go back to like, oh, I always noticed a heads penny with a heads up.
Yeah.
And I noticed it so often I couldn't help but not notice it. And it's like, yeah, but maybe you noticed, or maybe you saw tails up all the time too, and you just
But you
didn't
didn't
take
remember them.
note. But you
Right.
already had an idea, and there's
Yeah. It's how we
I
filter our experiences. That's right.
I don't know what I can't name all my thoughts from the time I woke up today to now. Every thought that popped in and out, and
Right.
people I might have thought of and not even like we didn't take note of that. And then so when we think, when's the last time I thought of that person? Well, in reality, it could have been yesterday, but the last time we like registered the thought, it might have been 6 months ago.
Right. It's the same thing. Yeah.
And
Same thing that happens with full moons, right? We talked about this, I think,
yeah,
once before about, everybody is, there's more deaths on a full moon and more hospitals or emergency rooms are fuller on full moons. It's like, it's really not true. If you objectively just do the research, it's not true. It's
yeah,
just that people are only paying attention on full moons.
yeah,
And so on full moons, like, wow, we're really busy today. But no one's
yeah,
paying attention on half moons or quarter moons
sure.
no, because that's not such a significant thing. But a full moon
Mhm.
is, it's a full moon. Um,
Yeah. So I
yeah,
think there's a
but
balance there. I think there's some truth to it, but also,
yeah, but that has happened to me a couple of times where I'm thinking of somebody and then they'll call me, like my phone will ring and that's them, and I was just thinking of them. I don't know if this has ever happened to you too, but this happened to me when I was in high school or no, in college. There was a song that I really liked at the time.
mhm,
Now, see again, this may or may not be something, but I really liked it, and I would be thinking about the song, and I would turn on the radio, and it would be playing in that
mhm,
moment. And it's almost like, well, did I somehow I sensed that? Could I have picked up those radio waves somehow, signals that I just subconsciously I knew that it was playing, and if I turned on my radio in that moment, I would catch it.
mhm.
Um, who knows? But like you said, you don't really that's not a real research. Like, no, you're not really paying attention to all the times you thought of somebody
That's
and they didn't call you.
that's what's tough. Is like you can't get accurate research in it unless you're writing literally down every thought.
Every single thought.
But even knowing that you're doing that makes it not double blind any longer.
Right,
That act itself is influencing the
right.
data.
That's right.
So I mean, it's but deja vu. That's something different. I think there could be things in our brain that we're attaching to those moments. I don't know where we feel like we've been in this moment. Well, it's because you have in a very similar way, and you created the memory in like the way we create memories changes over time. Like we
That's right.
remember things differently, and we'll remember them differently in 5 years probably than how we remember them
That's
now.
right. That's right.
So there could be some of that, but I also believe that if it's something to do with reincarnation, I kind of believe in reincarnation at this point. Like I at least hold open that
It
that
could
might
be.
be the most accurate thing.
Yeah, could be.
Um, so it could be something like that, like echoes of your past lives, if you believe in that. I am 0% dogmatic about any of that though. It's just
Yeah.
all speculative.
Yeah. I have a memory, but I probably I've talked about this so often. I probably need to actually do some research to see if I can actually find the study. My memory is again memory, but it's about memory. My memory is that a few years ago I saw something on like PBS or something. There was a documentary about memory, and someone had done a research study, like I think over like 10 years. And they started off with like these kids who were like 9 or 10 years old, and they asked them to share a memory, and they filmed it. Right. So they have like 20, 30 kids, and they all come in and they share a memory, something that just happened to them recently. Right. But something memorable and significant, like a dog almost bit me or almost got hit by a car
Mhm,
or my grandma died or whatever. Right. And just be as detailed as they can the first time about the memory. And then every year, so they wait a year, and the next year they bring them back in and they film them again with the same memory. So they do this 10 times over 10 years. And the funny thing was is that by the end of the 10 years, the memories had all changed. They all had forgotten things from the first video, added things that never happened, rearranged things, put things in different orders, had the wrong people that were involved. Every one of them. Every one of them. And so the point is that every time you are retelling something that you remember, you're editing it in your
For
head.
sure. Yeah.
And so it will change over time.
Yeah. That's
Um,
fact.
yeah, I've got to find the actual study because it was really fascinating that they did that with a bunch of different people, kids, starting with kids over a long period of time. And yeah, but there's been lots of
Lisa's
other studies on memory too. So that say the
Lisa's
same.
got a good comment. I had one of these experiences in college, was thinking while driving how lucky I was to have not had any auto accidents, and 10 minutes later someone sideswiped me.
Yeah,
That
there you go.
sucks.
Yeah, that sucks.
Doa, funny, I was thinking of things like having a worship song in my head and walking into church, and that's the song the worship team is practicing. That's because all the worship songs sound the same. It's
Well,
just
yeah.
eerie how often that happened to me. No, I was just taking
But
a dig at
see,
the worship.
I will say, let me say something about that because this is what I was going to say about the radio thing. The song that was in my head that I really loved was a very popular song at the time. I had a
Yeah,
high probability that if I turned on my radio, I probably was going to hear that song. Like it would have
yeah.
been different if this was an old song from a long time ago and it's really obscure, and then I turned it on and it was playing. Like
I
that
mean,
would be a
what's the
wrong.
rotation on pop radio right now? 20 songs, maybe.
Right, right. And this was
Um,
back in the 80s or something. So this is a
sure.
long time ago.
Nathan
Um,
says, I've had legitimately predictive dreams that when the events happen in life, I recall the dreams again in vivid detail.
Now that's
I, I,
interesting.
I fucking, I have some really vivid dreams, and I swear within 10 minutes, can't remember shit.
Yeah, well, that's why. Can I tell you why? Because this is interesting too. I did
You
see
can.
an
You're the
interview
brain
with
scientist here.
brain scientist saying that when you have a dream and you
Hmm.
first wake up, it's it's in your mind, but you're
Yeah.
not verbalizing it, right? It's just in your mind because that part of the brain where the dreams are happening and you remember the dreams is part of the short-term memory part of the brain.
Oh,
That you literally have to say it out loud so that your own ears hear your voice telling the story, and then
mm.
that goes into your ears, and then that goes into your long-term memory.
That's in a different part.
It's in a
Different.
different part of the
So
brain.
you got
So
two
you literally
departments. But
you
you got to get
pull
your
it out
departments.
and rearrange it into another part of your brain. If you don't tell somebody your dream when you first, as soon as you remember it when you wake up,
Uh-huh.
it starts to fade, and you won't remember all the details.
Quick, too. Quick.
Yeah, pretty soon. Yeah, yeah. I
That's
had a pretty wild
interesting.
dream last night myself, actually. So, uh, and I did. I said it out loud so I'd remember it.
John says, even introspectively, we know memory works that way. Lisa, we are always editing. I have an issue with my memories as to what is 100%. It really bothers me. That's everyone. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. We all do that.
we all do that to some degree.
Yeah, I write
Which
about this. Go ahead.
maybe it's a good idea to have a journal.
Yeah, yeah, actually, that is good. I used to journal for quite a bit. I don't anymore, but I used to journal all the time. And that is what happens. I'll go back and read old journals from years ago, and I'm
Uh,
reading something. I'm like, oh, I didn't remember that happened on that day. I don't remember
uh-huh.
that these two things happened back to back. I would have thought it was the other way around, or
Yeah.
So you do lose those things. But I wrote about this in Sola Mysterium, just a plug for my book, Sola Mysterium. There's a whole chapter in there on memory and stuff. And so some of the studies that were done on memory are fascinating because, like, one of the studies, they were able to successfully convince people. Like, they would show them a video. Like, one of them was like a video of a car crash, right? Just show it once and then ask them questions. And depending on the way they asked the question, they could get them to remember seeing things differently than what happened, right? So, for example, they say, you see a car crash, right? If they say, how fast were the cars going when they uh, on impact, or when the collision, then you would remember a more violent crash than if they asked it in another way, like when they hit each other.
Hmm.
So depending on the phrasing of the way you worded it, they could make the person remember it differently, and that
Differently.
was
That's wild.
consistent. So your
Wow.
your memories are you edit your memories, but here's the funny thing too: you could even convince people that things didn't happen.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
that you can even so your memories are like a Wikipedia page. This is a direct quote from one of the researchers at the end of the study.
It's a good
That our
analogy.
memories are like a Wikipedia page that you and others can
Edit.
edit.
Yeah.
That was scary.
So be careful of who you get your information from. Lisa says I fall asleep listening to your podcast and get irritated that I can't participate in the conversation because you guys just won't shut up. Well, Lisa, thank you for listening, first of all, regularly.
Thank you.
As just I mean, it's a podcast, so dead air doesn't say we could sit here for 10 seconds. It's going to sound like eternity if we just sat here quiet.
Yeah.
Can't be doing that. So
No, we
I
can't
wish you
have
could
silence.
that's what you can come on here for. We could participate, and
But
you
I'm
can
good
also
to know that we help you fall
call.
asleep.
Are we that exciting?
Yeah, we help you fall asleep. We're the
That's
best
good.
podcast for falling asleep.
It's the best ASMR. We should recategorize the podcast as
Hello.
ASMR.
Hello, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. This is Keith.
It's weird. Oh, I don't like it, Keith. I don't like it.
Yeah, those are kind of creepy. But yeah,
It's
you were
fast.
going to say you can call the hotline, please. Call our
Oh,
hotline 530-332-8020.
530-332-8020. I got the mush mouth. John, it's fascinating how similar beliefs and memories work. We can acquire them externally and think they're our own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
we
is right.
are interesting beings. And really how old is psychology as a study? Like 100 and some odd years? Like
Yeah.
we're at the infancy of understanding
Right.
how this meat sack works.
Right. So, for example, yeah, if you compare that to like how long people have been talking about theology, thousands of years.
Thousands of years.
Psychology, a little over 100 years or so.
Not
Yeah.
that long ago.
Yeah. Psychology is pretty new and fascinating. I'm very fascinated by psychology.
Lisa says, I have the best of intentions of listening to the end, but alas, I fall asleep. Look, I'm 42 years old. You get nothing but empathy from me. I understand. Like, I'm just resting my eyes. I'm on the couch.
See,
I fall
but
asleep for anything.
okay, I don't do that.
You don't do that? I don't
No.
nap though. And sometimes I'm up at 4. I got to go to the farm and shit. So that's my excuse now is
Yeah.
that
Sometimes I take
but
naps. Yeah.
But
I've
seem
never,
like a nap guy.
I have, that I can remember, I have never fallen asleep like watching a movie or a TV
No
show.
one has. No man ever has. We're all just resting our eyes.
No, I don't even close my eyes. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's literally what everyone says though. I wasn't asleep. I'm just resting my eyes.
But yeah, I do remember once I was in the movie theater with a friend of mine with our kids, and we were watching, I think, Shrek 4, which is awful.
Too many.
And he fell asleep, and I said, dude, I envy you. I wish I could have fallen asleep, but I couldn't. I sat through that whole thing. It's awful.
Judy, shout out. I have been listening from episode 1 of the podcast, and as of yesterday, have heard them all. So much to go back and re-listen to. Yeah, go do that. I'm glad that you have a long-time listener. We love having you here. Doa Deer. One reason I journaled for years was to document those things because it seemed to beat the odds of how often I saw stuff before and during the thing happened.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to get to the bottom of how this shit works, you probably should document your whole fucking life. But then you're going back and you have to like interpret it and all that. I think we can get a little too into like then we start missing its balance, right? So then we start missing the actual moments themselves. John, can you send some sleep juju my way? If I ever get some. If I ever find that, I sleep about 5 hours a night. So I don't have any to give you. Tim disagrees with you, Keith. Shrek 4 is the best.
Well, you're just wrong, my friend. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I love you, but you're wrong.
Everyone can be wrong, and now and then. James, I will admit I fell asleep halfway through the second Lord of the Rings movie. Peter Jackson, please don't hate me, Matthew. I don't hate you. I mean, I'm just disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
The Battle of Helm's Deep is the most epic of the
halfway through the second. Well, it depends on what you mean. The second disc of Fellowship or the second movie.
Which is the second movie?
Which is the Two Towers.
Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the Battle of Helm's Deep, isn't it? In the Two Towers.
Helm's Deep is in the Two Towers. Correct.
Yeah, that's like the most exciting, epic part. And then like Gandalf comes over the mountain. Like, holy cow, dude! That's like so great.
Hey, man. I mean, we're all getting older, Keith.
James.
We have to rest our eyes sometimes, but you got to go back and watch it, though. I recommend reading the books.
I just think you shouldn't. If you're tired, don't watch a movie. Just take a nap.
But what if you're
get up
tired?
later and watch it later?
Yeah, that's true. You know what happens though? Sometimes we see. Speaking of memories and how we remember things, like the more I've learned about Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, the less I remember about like where things are in the movie because I've read the book so many times.
Oh yeah,
And
and the movie rearranges some of that.
and I think of the books as they're really 6 books within 3 volumes.
Okay.
And then so I get confused on where things are because I have too many bits of like sometimes we have too much information and contradictory information, and it messes with our memories.
Yeah, it does.
How we remember even something that we're really into, like the Lord of the Rings. Judy, I have to rewatch them. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with you there. Tim, I have a clear memory of an ex-girlfriend saying a line from a film to me. I discovered that the film came out after we broke up.
What was the line? See, now I'm curious. What was the film? What was the line?
Yeah, who knows? You made me an offer I can't refuse.
That's what she said to you. Yeah. Right. That's yeah. We kind of
I just watched The Godfather again. I realized The Godfather is a Christmas movie.
Is it really?
A lot of it happens during Christmas.
Gosh, I haven't seen that. I think I saw it when it first came out, and I haven't seen it since.
James, Two Towers. I'll admit, I just rolled off of a 14-hour flight through. Well, there you go. Have read the book since then. Yeah. Well, there you go. You good. I have to rewatch many things because I missed so much. Yeah, I'm going back to Breaking Bad. I got to rewatch that.
Yeah. Come and get it, big boy. Oh, wow.
Okay.
I'm not sure what movie is that.
That's the line. That's the line she said.
But I don't know what movie that's from.
I don't either.
I couldn't even guess what movie that's from. Come and get it, big boy. Debbie Does Dallas. I don't know what is.
Oh,
I don't know what that could be. Yeah, we watched this year or last year. We watched some older movies, and we watched Dog Day Afternoon, which I hadn't seen in a long time. Man, that movie is fantastic. Just great.
I want to see
movie.
I want to see the Dylan biopic.
Yeah, no, that looks really good. There's so many movies I didn't get to watch that came out that I've got like 9 or 10 movies on my list. That's one of them. I definitely want to see that.
Yeah. We're in the middle of Ozark. That's a show, but
oh, I love that show. Oh, yes.
It's very much like Breaking Bad in a way.
Where are you at in Ozark?
Season 3, halfway through maybe.
Yeah, it's so good. It gets way, way, way better and just more unbelievably.
I've liked it intense. So far. I really like Jason Bateman.
He's the but also the girl that plays the blonde girl that plays the
Ruby.
Oh my gosh, she's
brilliant. Fantastic. Yeah, she makes me laugh a lot. Yeah. Tim says that quote was from The Lady in Red. All
right, The Lady in Red.
I've watched Biomusicians all weekend. Yes, Lisa, those are good. I don't know what I've been watching. I've been watching Ozark. That's what we've been doing.
Yeah, that's good. We're waiting for Severance season 2. It comes out the 17th. I actually put it on my calendar because I don't want to miss it. So yeah.
And I'm going to be watching football later. I'm going to watch the Vikings and the Lions.
Okay. Are you rooting for either one of them?
No, I just like to put it on at the end of the day, just to watch it. Yeah.
See, I there's something about, maybe it's because it's something I grew up with, right? Like with my dad, listening to football games with my dad. Mm-hmm. There's just something about the ambience of like NFL football when it's on TV. You've got the crowd sound in the background. You've got the whistles. You've got the sound of the players, kind of mumbling on the field. Like there's just there's really something to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's almost an ASMR experience, right?
Yeah. That's why I would go to a baseball game, like a live baseball game. Yeah. For like the same exact reason.
Yeah. Cause you got all those sounds, man. And it's like, it takes you somewhere, it transports you, it gives you a certain vibe and a feeling. Yeah, I think that's why maybe one of the reasons why people love watching them.
John's been watching videos about people living in their vans.
I follow a couple of people on YouTube that have really fascinating videos about people that live in their vans. And I mean, it makes you wish sometimes like, man, that sounds really great. I just know the reality is I couldn't do it. I know I couldn't do it.
If I was single with nothing, no attachment, right. I would do a tiny home. That's what I would probably save up for, is I'd get a nice truck and to pull a tiny home.
See, here's the thing. this is the reason why, like, I love that. I like the aesthetic of that. I
Yeah.
watch those videos, or I see these people
Yeah.
living in their vans and their tiny homes, and a part of me says, man, I love the simplicity of that. I love, all of that. I think it sounds really great. I just know the reality is that I have so many books that I
Well, no,
want.
the whole line, yeah, the whole inside would be books. That's all it would be.
I'd be sleeping on books, right? And I don't want to get rid of my books or my DVDs or my CDs or anything like that. So I could
I
trim
don't
it
care about
down.
those.
I could, for like, Wendy and I almost went to China. If you guys remember, we almost went to Shanghai. Was it Shanghai, China?
Okay.
I nearly took a job there. I was like very close to taking a job. They
Mm.
made me the offer and I said yes, but then the process of making it happen. And I'm glad, because we would have been there during COVID. So I'm really glad we didn't do it. But when we were thinking about having to move to China, it was like, okay, we're going to have to downsize, because all you can take is what you can ship over there. Right.
Yeah.
So if I'm
Okay.
only can take a few books, I've got to get it down to like, what are the 10 books that I want to have with me? Or what are the 10 DVDs, the 10 movies I want to watch, whatever. And that was interesting. Like, okay, the rest is going to go into storage. Can I just like simplify my life down to what are just the basic things that I really think I need? That was
Yeah.
actually a cool process to kind of mentally go through it. We didn't end up having to actually do it, but thinking about doing it, kind of was interesting.
You had concepts of a plan.
I had concepts of a plan. I did. I had concepts of a plan for simplifying my life, and now, but reality is I need to buy some more bookshelves because I keep buying books.
Yeah, if the van doesn't have a toilet, even doing the first two businesses is an adventure. Yes, John. Doa Deer says, I lived out of a backpack for years back in the 70s. So free to having so little to confine oneself. Yeah, I mean, that
It's
sounds
fun.
fascinating. I would, I'd be on a tiny home. It would have a toilet and a shower on a farm, if that would be my simple life. And I actually think I'd do pretty well at that. And it may be my future, maybe when I'm old.
Yeah, there you go.
Might not be a bad idea. We're coming up on the hour. If there's any
Yeah.
last things you want to get in there, any last comments, questions, make sure you throw those up on Facebook or YouTube, and we
Yeah.
will certainly get those comments. Again, I'm going to put up the promo code CREATE.
Yeah.
If you go to choiracademy.com, find the Create Us Sandbox, right?
Yes. Yep.
And use that promo code CREATE, and you'll get
30% off, people.
or as
Today
the Irish
only.
say, tarty.
Tarty.
I love when they say tarty tree.
Tarty
When I went
tree.
to Ireland, now it's tarty tree.
I love
I
love that.
stim a tarty tree all the time.
Tarty tree.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie The Banshees of Inisherin?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh, it's so great because they're Irish and they're all talking like that. It's excellent. It's a great movie too. You just reminded me of that. That's a really good movie.
John, a hobbit house is an earth ship, I think. Sure. I don't know what an earth ship is.
I don't know what an earth ship is either, but
A hobbit house is generally a smile, SMIAL, but some live in above ground buildings. Just
what
thought I'd
is
throw
it?
that out there.
SMIAL, a smile?
Yeah,
What is
a
that?
smile is a hobbit hole. That's what they're
I don't
technically
know.
called.
Oh, okay. Hobbit holes. Okay.
Yeah. Did you know I have a book? It's a reference book on everything Hobbit.
Yes. Yes. I do know that.
It's so nerdy. I'm like,
Because I think I found a
wait,
copy of it and I asked you if you had one and you already have one.
a copy of it. No, I'm writing it.
Oh, okay. I thought there was one. Isn't there one though? I thought there is one.
Like like a reference book. No, there's Lord of the, yeah. I mean, there's Middle Earth reference books,
Okay.
but not one as if it's written like about a biography of like the whole history of hobbits.
Oh wow, you're working on that?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, dude.
It'll be out in like 10 years, I'm sure.
You'll be part of your series.
Yeah. Judy says, thanks again for the discussion earlier. It was really helpful to my process. Well, good. Thank you for asking great questions. And for being a long-time listener.
Yeah, thank you all of you, by the way, because we jumped on with no idea what we're going to talk about, and you guys took us. We've talked about what gender, sexuality, spectrums, memory, deja vu, so many interesting things.
Yeah. And and the fact that we still have CDs.
CDs. Look, yeah, look right here. I'll show you. There's my
Oh my
collection. Right
gosh,
there.
look at that.
That's just what I have in my
I
office.
recognize
I
that
have
tower.
boxes. I have
Yeah.
boxes in the garage. In
Wow.
addition, those are the ones I actually
I
listen to.
still do have my CDs. They're packed, and I don't know why I don't get rid of them. But
Don't you have a CD player in your car?
No.
Really? Okay, mine does. And my car's not that old. Not that old. It's
Well,
like
I have one that doesn't have a CD player,
old.
and then the one that doesn't have a CD player but has a tape deck because it's a '98.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't have a tape deck. I do have a CD player though.
Yeah. Earth ships are another rabbit hole to follow on off the grid living. Yeah, I think I've heard of them. I just don't know what the definition would be. Yeah, hobbits definitely live off the grid. They don't have a grid.
That's right.
Um,
And I'm not a hobbit. I can't do that.
I'm not a hobbit in many aspects. Like I would have too much technology for a hobbit.
Yeah.
Like,
see, that's right. See, this is the reality of it, right? Friend and I were talking about this once about like how great it would be to get off the grid and all that stuff, right? Just to get out in the forest, get out in the woods, and just be away from everybody. And but I'm like, yeah, but I need to watch movies, so I need Wi-Fi, I need my computer, I need my Netflix account.
yeah.
Then it's like, no, I'm not really off the grid, right? I don't think I could do it. I really don't think
I wouldn't want to do it.
like I could maybe do it for 2 weeks, and then it would start to get like
Yeah,
I start
course.
losing my mind, and like I gotta get out of here.
Yeah. Tim says you can connect your phone to a cassette player, ditch the cassettes. I don't have any cassettes any longer, and yes, my more modern car has a Bluetooth connection. So
You can connect your phone to a cassette player?
maybe it's got to be like an adapter.
I've never seen an adapter that connects to a cassette player like
I
that.
don't know. Well, there could be like a Bluetooth thing. I have no idea. Who the fuck knows?
Oh, that's news to me.
I can't be off the grid to go loony. Yeah.
Me too.
Michael, I've been quiet. Sorry, I've been quiet. I have 2 dogs excited about the show or the snow. I thought they said the show.
Oh, the
Big
dogs are
Heretic
fans of the
Captain.
show. That's great.
They go out, knead in, went back in, rinse. Yeah, I miss the snow. I haven't been in the snow in a long time.
In El Paso, there's a chance we could get snow this coming week.
All right.
Yeah.
Judy used to have one in those old Saturn.
Yeah,
Saturn.
I used to have an old Saturn too.
It's an adapter with a lead. Well, there you go. Now you learned something.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. This Tuesday we're back. We're back with a regular live show with guests and panel, and we're talking about how to survive fascism. So if you're not from the States, you could just watch from afar and see what we have to say.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe it'll come to a neighborhood near you because
fascism is spreading. Sad to say.
It's like a fucking disease.
It's a cancer. That's right.
We just like to do things uniquely here in America.
Yes, uniquely American. That's right. Yeah, that's a great conversation. Doug Padgett, Shona Jaw, and Lisa Sharon Harper, who is one of our favorite returning guests.
Tim says might be coming our way. Yeah, I think so. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, John. Thanks, Judy. Tim, shout out. Everyone, Michael, Nathan, everyone, shout out.
Dear says what time on Tuesday? When does it drop on Tuesday? Like 6
I dropped that shit at 6 a.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. Pacific. So you can wake
3 a.m. Pacific time. Come on.
That's when I schedule.
For those of you waiting up, waiting by your iPod.
Then you could, if it goes at 3:01, you could call the hotline 530-332-8020. Be like, where the fuck's my show? Give me my podcast.
Where is it?
Musk is already bankrolling Farage. I heard some stuff about that.
Who's Farage? I don't even know.
Nigel Farage, far right in the UK, right? I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fun.
Musk is out. He's meddling in European politics.
Why focus only on America? You know, there's fascism.
Doa Deer, sorry, I'll be sleeping. Well, Doa Deer, this is not a live show, so it just goes on the feed. Tuesday, this is the only live show we're doing. Yeah,
you can listen anytime after 3 a.m. and catch the episode.
Judy says, hit the thumbs up on the way out. It helps the podcast to reach more folks. Yes, if you are on Facebook, hit the love emoji, the like emoji. If you're on YouTube,
or share, you can share it.
Share. That's right. And you know, share with one friend. If you got one friend that would enjoy the show, just tell them to, subscribe to the feed, iTunes, Spotify, wherever y'all listen to. And we'll see you on Tuesday.
All right. We will.
There's Barrett.
Thank you, Barrett. See you guys. Have a good